The Nashville Predators cannot score goals, and Barry Trotz goes on the record saying he is not going to fire his head coach. Let's talk about that overtime loss to the Flyers and what isn't happening next.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. American Thanksgiving. Just another Thursday to our Canadian listeners. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off this Thanksgiving episode welcoming any first timers and, of course, giving a shout out to our Locked On Predators insiders and to our everydayers. We appreciate your support. We love most days talking Nashville Predators hockey with you. I'm Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer with Penalty Box Radio, and my friends, I have a partner in crime.
You do. I'm Emma Lingen, and I'm the Predators site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
Well, it looked like Nashville was going to bounce back from that Devils loss with a solid performance and 2 good points last night. But they fell a point short, losing in overtime, my friends, to the Philadelphia Flyers. We're going to share our one word to describe the game. We are going to rant a little bit about the frustration around this team. And then we're going to tell you what the team can build on from that game. Oh, and by the way, Barry Trotz went on record yesterday saying he is not firing Andrew Brunette. I bet y'all want to hear us talk about that too. Before we dive into all of that, want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Emma, I had so much hope through 2 periods and 19 and a half minutes. 19 and 3/4 minutes that we were going to get to come on here and we're going to be like, okay, it was not a barn burner, but look at the Nashville Predators bouncing back with a win. Oh, friends, if you turned the game off early because you were hanging out with family, let's talk about the last little ending of that game where Philadelphia tied it up with, I don't know how many seconds were left to go, like 20?
11.4.
Oh, okay. It was 11.4, y'all.
Yeah.
And then won it in overtime. So the Predators do walk away with 1 point, but it was not exactly how we wanted to see this game unfold. So Emma, let's just go ahead and kick it off the way we always do with our one word to describe that game. How would you describe that overtime loss to the Flyers in just one word that we won't have to have the editing bleep out?
Details. Details. They got sloppy on. Look at me sticking to one word today.
Look at you,
actually
nailed it.
Rules.
Nailed it.
Details. More specifically, I think Andrew Brunette said this post game that the devil is in the details, and they absolutely kind of sat back and really glossed over some key details, and that's the difference. I mean, the margins are so thin that, that can be the difference. 11 seconds, 11.4 seconds, that's all it takes. And I don't know, I just thought the whole game, yes, Nashville had a lot of zone time. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but just eye test, you could tell. They spent a lot of time in the Flyers zone. And then it was at the very end, the last couple minutes of the third period, the Flyers really started. It's like they woke up and realized, oh crap, we have, this game's almost over, and they managed to score. And it's, the whole game, I was thinking Nashville should be beating this team by a lot more. They had a 2-1 lead for most of the game. They should be beating them by a lot more. So it's okay, had the zone time, but nothing to show for it. So it's all in the little details.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And like you said, the margin is so thin. There is no team in this league bad enough where a 1-goal lead is safe. There's just no team bad enough. There is too much talent in this league on every single team, regardless of where they're ranked or where they're at in their pursuit for the Stanley Cup. There is no game in which a 1-goal lead is safe. Now, I don't feel like Nashville sat back and just let it happen, but you're right. It's just a couple of details and it's a different story. If you think the game was horrifying, I'm going to take you back to Calvin's practical joke phase, which was as horrifying as this game was. When our youngest was younger, he's like a grown up now, but when he was younger, he went through a practical joke phase, Emma, and it literally was like the worst 2.5 weeks of my life because he like just so many things. He and no one was immune. Everybody was being attacked. But one of the worst ones was that he got up, got saran wrap, which is my one word, but it's 2 words. So you win today. But he took saran wrap and he covered the toilet with saran wrap, and then he put the seat back down. And his brother gets up, and his brother does not wake up well, and just kind of staggers into the bathroom to go to the bathroom and pees on the saran wrap, which then runs all over the floor. That game last night gave me flashbacks to saran wrap because it was like the net was covered in saran wrap. No matter what Nashville did, they were not going to get a goal. Like literally, I didn't have to cover this game, so I was the guy at home on my couch yelling, "Shoot the puck!" But even when they shot it, it wasn't going to go in. They had like 60 some shots on goal through this game, but only 20 or 60 some shots, but only 27 were on net. And even those weren't going to get in. And it's not like their goaltender was UC Sarosing out. They just weren't going in. This team cannot score a goal. They have a goal scoring problem. They have a goal scoring problem. And if you wondered what one of the biggest problems for this team is, you saw it tonight. They just none of them can score. Every single one of them is on the scoring struggle bus. And it was like there was saran wrap over that net. You didn't need a goaltender. They had saran wrap. Of course, we love our Lockdown Predators insiders. Dustin said, okay, taking a deep breath. My one word is, quote, keep it PG. How in the hockey sticks are you going to be the best team on the ice for 59 minutes and 48 seconds and then still lose this game? Rebecca said, why did I think we were going to win? I know better. Chris said, talk about finding ways to lose. Not our year doesn't begin to define this. And man, this team is in a bad way, Emma. They're in a bad way. Bad way.
Yeah, it's one of those, like you said, they were the better team for 59 minutes and 48 seconds. And I think, those are the ones that afterwards, yes, it stings. I mean, it stings to lose. It always stings to lose, but especially when you're leading for most of the game, you give up the lead with 11 seconds to go and then lose in overtime like that. You would almost think that stings more. It feels like it does. But for these players and talking to them after the game, it was, they certainly felt a lot better after this game than they did after the New Jersey game, which they
should.
Lost. Yes, and it's not because we got a point. That doesn't matter. It's because they knew that they improved. They improved, game over game. And this is, I'm pulling receipts on myself because I did say this, that I would be okay with a loss if I saw improvement over the last game. And I did.
Right.
So we're seeing improved efforts. But again, this team seems to have a problem with carrying those efforts over. And so it's, I don't know, even, and I was thinking, because it was looking like this was going to be a win for the Predators for most of the night, I was thinking, gosh, even if they do win, I'm still not gonna feel super jazzed about it, only because it's like we've seen how this story ends. We've gone down this road before. We know what happens. They're gonna, they come back with a win and an improved effort, and it's like, okay, all right. And then they rip the rug out from under you at the next game and they
Yeah.
lose. And so, and lose in a bad way. And so that's kind of, again, even if it had been a win tonight, I would have been like, okay, cool. But I'm not, it doesn't mean as much to me right now until we see more of them.
Right. Because you know what? Not only does Andrew Brunette have trust issues, we now have trust issues with this team. Can they string something together? And look, here is what's real. We're asking the questions. We're saying, hey, diagnose this. What is going on? And they're having a hard time putting their finger on it. And I think right now, this is a team that is so desperate to find something positive to build on that they don't even think about, hey, we got 1 point. They're like, hey, we've got some things to build on. This didn't go our way, and this is not how we wanted this game to end, but we've got a couple things to build on. Coming up, we're going to share with you what those things are that we saw from this team that maybe they can build on moving forward. And friends, we're going to just repeat what we have said that came out of the horse's mouth. Barry Trotz is not firing Andrew Brunette. We're going to tell you his reasons coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can go and check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more, and it's all going to be on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. Again, you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. If you are looking forward to making some great holiday memories this season, you have got to check out all the great deals available for you at Game Time. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to get tickets for your favorite sports, music, theater, and comedy. Game Time now has this great feature. It's called Game Time Picks, and it's going to make getting tickets to your favorite events so easy. Game Time Picks is going to filter out the fluff, and it's only going to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you're not going to waste time going through thousands of tickets. Right now, Game Time is having an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic event at Wrigley Field. If you go to the Game Time app to purchase tickets, you're going to get 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% off on home plate area seats. Game Time has a low price guarantee and the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, Emma, we just kind of wrapped up the last segment saying, look, this team is confused. They're confounded. They're confused. I just want to break out into some Hamilton right there. Constantly confusing, confounding the British henchmen. And I did. That's a little bonus Thanksgiving thing for you all. But there are some positives. And right now, this team is grasping to pull on to the positive. So I think, you had mentioned offensive zone time. They had some sustained offensive zone time, which is not, we've had games, entire 60-minute games from this team where you felt like they never got set up in the offensive zone, ever. So this just straight eye test, much more improved. What other positives do you feel like they could build on from this game?
Well, I mean, I think this kind of comes off of the zone time thing too. It's like they had chances. They were creating chances. Roman Josi hit another post, by the way. I would love to know what that total is at this point. Not just for him, just
in general.
Team this year. My word. Yeah, I mean, I just think in general this team looked a lot more connected 5 on 5.
Mhm.
They, again, they seem to be kind of flowing a little bit better. It didn't look like, we were saying earlier in the year, it's like these guys look like they've never even met before. And,
Yeah.
now you're starting to at least see, a little bit more cohesion there, but there are still some of the decision making is still a little bit questionable.
A little sus.
Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos had a 2-on-1, and you broke out in Hamilton. I was about to break out into some High School Musical
Let's
and
go.
say, "Don't be afraid to shoot the outside, Jay," because they were not. It's like, you
Shoot the
shoot it.
puck.
No, you shoot it. You shoot it, and it's like, oh my god, like
Somebody shoot it.
it's a 2-on-1. It shoot it, someone, and they just kept passing, and it was, but that's getting off topic, and I think that as far as things they did well, the sustained zone time, the sustained pressure, and that leads to, creating more chances. And I thought defensively overall that they looked solid as well. They looked a lot more
Yep.
connected there. So things to build on for sure.
Yes, and I thought Adam Wilsby, of course, made his NHL debut, and, drawing a blank on Blankenberg's first name.
Nick.
Nick Blankenberg.
Mr.
Mr. Blankenberg,
It's very
um,
formal.
made his debut for the Predators, and I thought, you know what? They were thrown in with very little time. Now they do kind of, try to have some sort of continuance between Milwaukee's system and Nashville's system, but, they were kind of thrown in. I thought they both looked really, really good, but I get it. Like, I get it, y'all. This is very frustrating. This team is beyond frustrating. This game should have been 2 points and a win. It was not a barn burner, but it was 2 points and a win, and you could build on little positives and get 2 points, just not tonight. And I hear what you all are saying, and you know what? So did Barry Trotz, and he addressed it head on. He was a guest on 102.5 this afternoon before the game. He was on the Jared Stillman show. And there's a lot of things that I don't particularly care for with Jared Stillman. First of all, that man has no inside voice, but that's a whole nother podcast for another day. But bless his heart, he asks the questions, he says the things, some of the things he shouldn't say. But it's nice when he talks to Barry Trotz because he asks the questions. And he straight up asked Barry Trotz, "Are you going to fire Andrew Brunette?" Because look, we're all hearing it. Are you going to fire him? Here is what everybody needs to know. And just FYI, I'm pulling receipts. This isn't the first time you've heard this on the Locked On Predators podcast because me and Emma have said it too. Barry Trotz is not going to fire Andrew Brunette. If you thought Andrew Brunette's seat just got warmer because they got away with 1 point and are trying to build on little tiny positives, that is false. Barry Trotz is very clear. Andrew Brunette is his coach. Andrew Brunette is going to get better and better. He talked about him in a way, Emma, that felt similar to me to how you talk about developing a young player. He has invested in Andrew Brunette. He has told Andrew Brunette in a conversation, "Psst, I'm not firing you. You're okay. You're okay." I know that's going to go over like a fart in church, y'all. But let me just tell you again, Andrew Brunette is not getting fired. And this game didn't make his seat any warmer. Emma, I know you're not surprised by this, but just expound once again on how do you feel about the Andrew Brunette is not going anywhere conversation that we have had and that now Barry Trotz has publicly had as well.
I feel like we were right. Just need to say that. Already knew it, but nice to get the validation.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that Andrew Brunette has shown us already that he can. I mean, look at last year with a worse team on paper. I know on paper, a worse team last season. They were not supposed to amount to anything. They didn't look like they were going to amount to anything. It was just a, hey, let's see what happens kind of
It was
year for the
throw
Nashville
spaghetti at the
Predators.
wall. What's going to say?
Sure. sure. It's like, yeah, whatever. We're here. And, anything good that happens, it's house money. That's fine. And then, it was getting to the point where, again, it was like January, where even I was saying, you know what? This might not be it. Like what I kept saying last year was I see what he's going for here. I see what he's trying to do, but I don't know that he has the right personnel to do it. Like he doesn't have
Right.
the right personnel on the ice. And that's not his fault. But he ended up at it got to a point where I kind of thought like, dude, at some point you got to meet your players where they're at. Like you got it
Mhm.
because I see what you're trying to do, but it's not working. And so you've got to like try to meet them where they're at. But no, he was very, very firm, very steadfast. And this is the system that we are going to
Yeah.
play.
He did not
And
move the line.
he did not even a little bit. It was like, "Get on the bus or we're leaving you here."
Yep.
And that was it. And I remember thinking like, I don't know." And then what did he do? He dragged this team by the teeth, like, kicking
Mm.
and screaming. He dragged them into the fight. And not only into the fight, into a 19-game point streak and a trip to the playoffs. Now, I am not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen again this year, but I think with that knowledge and that experience from last year, he has earned the chance to do the same thing this year
Yes.
because he's shown that he can. And so I am not saying, again, I am not saying that 1000% he's the right guy like for forever and he's going to, he's the only right person for the Predators. I'm not, but I'm just saying that right now he's shown us he can do this. He's
Yep.
shown us before. So let him, he has earned the chance. He has earned the chance to do it again. And firing coaches in the NHL, I mean, it's a lot more commonplace now. You just saw it happen in Boston. Jim
Yes.
Montgomery's already got a new job in St. Louis. And, it happened with Edmonton early in the season last year, and that turned out really well for them, of course, made it to the Stanley Cup final. But those are more experienced coaches that, you're not firing them because they're bad coaches. You're firing them because ultimately they hit a wall with
Mhm.
with that group of players, and it's just time for a change. And I just don't think Andrew Brunette has been here long enough yet for that wall to have been hit with this particular group of players. And so you need to let this play out. And then, a mid-season coaching change. First of all, if you hire Andrew Brunette or hire him, if you fire Andrew Brunette right now,
Who's
who are you
who's coaching? I mean,
who's
I have an
replacing?
idea. I have my pick.
I know. But mid-season though.
Right.
Mid-season. Like it's there's no one out there. Now, if there was like, a Jim Montgomery type, I'm not, believe me, I'm not at all saying that the Predators should have hired Jim Montgomery. I don't think they should have. But if it was like someone of that caliber that was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job," like then that might make a little bit more sense. But who you hiring right now who doesn't already have a job?
Right.
And I I just think that people are so quick to forget. They're so quick to forget last year. And once again, I cannot be more clear about this. And people still will choose not to listen or not to try to understand. And that's your choice. But I am not guaranteeing anything. I am not saying that this team will go on a 20-game point streak. I'm not saying that they will even win on Friday against Tampa. I am not saying that they will win another game this year. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're going to go to the playoffs. I'm not guaranteeing any of that. All I am saying is that Andrew Brunette has shown us that he has the ability to do this. He's
Mhm.
shown us before. He now has a very new look group of players that he's working with. And he's got a newer coaching staff too. So we have to afford him that chance to do it again. Now, what he does with that chance, then that can be up for debate. but that we don't get to have that debate and have it mean anything until the end of the year, quite
Right.
frankly.
Yep.
One game, one handful of games, even 20 games, I think it's not going to tell you in this situation. This stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not going to tell you everything you need to know.
Yep. Coming up, we're going to tell you one other big reason why Andrew Brunette is not going anywhere. We're also going to tell you the one thing we slightly disagree, maybe more than slightly disagree with Barry Trotz about when it comes to this season and this situation. Today's episode is brought to you by Built. Listen up, renters. Ever feel like you are stuck in this loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air? It is time to turn that rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. That's where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. You can put your points towards a flight or a hotel stay as well. You can also use points to book things like fitness studio classes. You can redeem them towards a future rent payment. They are designed to meet you in your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnHL. Let me spell it out. It is joinbilt.com/lockedonnHL. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Again, joinbuilt.com/lockedonnHL to start earning points with your rent payment today. Emma, there is one other really big reason why Barry Trotz is not going to fire Andrew Brunette anytime soon, and it is this. Andrew Brunette hasn't yet started doing the job Barry Trotz hired him for. Is he coaching? Yes. Has he done an excellent job last season? I'm sorry, y'all. You can hate the first 20 some games of this season, but dude, like Emma just said, got it a lot out of a little last season and did a great job. But he was hired to take a crop of these young future stars and grow them into a contender. And friends, that hasn't started yet. And it is not delayed because of Stamkos and Marchessault and Shea, and they've just ruined everything. No, this is bonus. This is bonus opportunity, bonus window that we are in right now. Andrew Brunette was hired to be the guy long term to bring up young players and get them ready. So the guys in Milwaukee, the Molendykes, the Igor Surins down the road, that's the team that he was hired to coach. Now, he's got to coach in between that, now and then, but Barry Trotz isn't going to fire him until he sees what Andrew Brunette can do down the road. It would have to get so much worse, because he hasn't yet done the job that Barry Trotz hired him for. Now, having said that, Emma, you and I had a discussion on the show about here's an idea, bench some veterans. And this is something that we see from these young players, last night's game, Mark Del Gaizo, healthy scratch, didn't have the best game in New Jersey, as did none of his teammates. That was just a dumpster fire from top to bottom. We've seen Luke Evangelista, healthy scratch. We've seen Tommy Novak, healthy scratch. We've seen Juuso Parssinen, healthy scratch. Who we haven't seen healthy scratched, Ryan O'Reilly. We haven't seen Gus Nyquist. We haven't seen Brady Shea. We haven't seen these veterans. And Jared Stillman asked Barry Trotz, why aren't you benching veterans? And this is what Trotz had to say. He said, it is different to sit a veteran than it is a young guy. Number one, he said it creates drama. Friends, theater major, here for the drama. But also, he said, veteran players can work through significant issues while still playing. And young players can't always do that. I don't know, Emma. Barry Trotz, straight shooter, but I don't know that I agree that what is good for the young players is not good for the gander.
I don't know. I think I agree with part of that statement. I agree with him in that veteran players are more capable of working through things while still playing than the young players are. That part I don't take issue with. What I do take slight issue with is benching veterans causes drama. To that, I say that's kind of the point because clearly,
I love
whatever
that.
it is, I mean, whatever is happening, it's not good. And so you need some kind of shakeup. You need a little bit of drama. Now, I'm not saying you want to have see, Minka agrees with me. She's here.
Minka's like,
She's here for the
say it.
drama. She's
Say
like,
it, mama.
spill the tea, sis. No, I'm just saying, like, look, I think that the drama in question, if it's like, oh, you're gonna hurt their feelings, good. Good, because like if they're not performing, then like they need to be held accountable in some way. And I'm not saying they're not being held accountable in other ways.
True.
We
There are other ways.
there are other ways, but I just think if you're trying to send a message that like, oh, I don't want to cause drama is really not a good enough reason for me.
Well, and it's a little bit hard. I got a chance yesterday to talk to Luke Evangelista and just talking about like, hey, checking in. Been healthy, scratched, coming back
I
in the
know how
lineup.
you worry. I know
You
how
know
you
how I
worry.
worry. You know how I
Yes.
worry. And he was great and just talked about, look, it's super frustrating, but I am learning how to channel frustration in ways that improve my game on the ice and help me, kind of build that mental toughness. But he used a phrase and he used it offhand and it hurt my heart a little bit. And he said, I don't want to get kicked out again. And I was like, oh, I do not like the way that feels. I don't like the way that feels. And I think you have to remember how tough it is to be a young player in this league. And I want to wrap up this discussion by quoting what I think is the gospel according to Footloose at the very end of one of the greatest movies ever made. And that's a hill I will die on. Reverend Shaw Moore stands in the pulpit in front of his congregation that doesn't want people to dance. And he says, if we don't start trusting our children, how will they ever become trustworthy? And then he says, I'm told the senior class has gotten use of a warehouse and basin for the purpose of putting on a senior dance. Please join me to pray to the Lord to guide them in their endeavors. Such a great moment. But I come back to that quote. If we don't start trusting our children, how will they ever become trustworthy at some point in time? You've got to give young players a chance. I will say I was delighted to see Luke Evangelista had over 15 minutes of ice time in last night's game. That was reassuring to me. But just Barry Trotz, Andrew Brunette, watch Footloose, please.
Let the kids dance, guys.
Let the
Let 'em
kids
dance.
dance. Let the kids dance. And just FYI, I know the routine at the end of the movie, and I could teach it to all the kids, and we could all dance, and they could get ice time. But yeah. So again, just not the way you wanted to see a Nashville Predators game wrap up. Andrew Brunette not going anywhere, and Footloose is the greatest movie ever made. I don't know how we can provide you with an episode to be more thankful for on this American Thanksgiving, but here we did. Before we sign off on this episode, Emma, let everyone know where they can find you and your work.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Emma_Lingen. You can find my work at the Hockey News. And of course, you can find me right here with Anne. And I'm thankful for you every day, but especially today.
I feel the same way, and I don't want to get cheesy, but you all, it is such a joy. Like, this is such a joy. The games sometimes, like the outcomes and the things we have to talk about, less joyful, but love getting to work with you. Love getting to work with you, Emma, every day. And y'all, if you heard like half the stuff that we talk about before and after, I don't know if you would love us more or put us on a watch list. It could go either way.
I think you'd probably be pretty frightened,
You might be
honestly.
scared. And
Not for the faint of heart, but
no. And of course, thank you to the people who tune in to talk Predators hockey with us. Again, not been the most fun season, but misery loves company. So come on back. We're here 5 days a week, and we are thankful for the time you take tuning in. We are going to take tomorrow off. We're going to spend some time with our families. I am going to be frantically cooking a turkey here in just a couple minutes. We're going to take tomorrow off. We will be back on Monday, and there are 2 big games. Friday, Tampa Bay, Saturday against former head coach John Hines and the Minnesota Wild. We're going to be back on Monday. We're going to recap those shows for you, so be sure to tune in. Until then, you all enjoy your Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.